Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, Thursday afternoon at Cannes. That is an endurance feat, I think, in and of itself. We're here to talk about a different kind of endurance today. Before I introduce my incredible colleague here, Katarina Sederska, I'll just say a quick hello from me. My name is Nat. I am Brand Futures Director at Smarts. We are a global culture-first creative agency working with clients like Lego and Diageo and Booking.com. And it's just an absolute pleasure to be here sweating with you all. So thanks for coming. I'm going to read out, because I won't do it justice unless I really get all the words in. I'm going to introduce the amazing Katarina Sederska, who is a Ukrainian freediver whose career has been shaped by resilience, discipline, and extraordinary focus. Originally an Olympic artistic swimmer who competed at the Rio 2016 Games, Katarina reinvented herself in freediving at a moment when her life and her country were deeply shaken. Cut off from her country and training facilities, she chose to channel everything into her sport, continuing to train and work while her homeland was under attack. Since 2023, she has dominated the most physically and mentally demanding discipline in freediving. The no fins category, so literally just swimming down. In just 2 years, Katarina has pushed the world record from 76 meters to 88 meters, an exceptional performance rarely seen at the highest level of the sport. Her journey from Olympic pools to the deepest dives in the world has become a powerful symbol of resilience, focus, and quiet determination, resonating far beyond the sport itself. And we're also fresh from the Palais yesterday, where we both did a talk on creative depth. So it's been a complete pleasure working with you on this. And I'd like to say, just become a good pal now as well. So really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, likewise. I'm happy to be here, sharing this heat with you. Yeah, let's go.
So I think if we kick off with, the title of this talk is all about role models. And I think the term role models, people have a different relationship with those words and with what it means to them. So maybe you could just start by sharing kind of, what does that mean to you? What does the idea or the concept of being a role model, kind of, what's your relationship with it?
Well, I cannot remember if I had some particular role model when I was growing up. I think it was some gathered image. For me, my role model is my mom, definitely, who contributed a lot to the way I behave in this world. But yeah, I was growing up surrounded many women. I was doing female sport, artistic swimming, so since 8 years old, I was surrounded by girls and coaches who were also women. So, and I was basically raised as a wolf. Like at the age of 14, I moved to another city. So basically, the team became my family since then. And I think the coaches became my role model, and they were shaping the way I was seeing my future. And now, like as a grown-up woman, I feel that I also have some influence. And like even since that time, I felt like whatever you do, it's very nice to be an example for the next generation. And like in that kind of sport I was doing, it was very like visible, this influence, because we were training one to each other, like all the generations, like it was a kind of big rotation. Now it's a bit different process. I'm more like on my own, and I'm gathering those examples from other areas, like women in business, women in sport, of course, women who create the opportunities for others, who create the space, who inspire. I think like now I'm at the stage of like focusing on my own path, but somehow it's also influencing people, and I get some feedback from my country. And I realized that the sport can have a big impact on people's lives, even if you don't feel it like that.
Amazing. And since I've been learning more about the wonderful world of freediving, which was something I knew nothing about until listening to a really brilliant podcast by Tortoise Media called Deep Water. And in that, there was kind of talk about how the landscape and the sport of freediving is changing and evolving, because I think it's still like quite niche, I would say, but it's growing, right? Like it's gaining in popularity. And there are sort of different approaches to it. There are ways in which people view what achievement and what accomplishment looks like in freediving. And of course, we're in the WACL Empower Cafe. So we should absolutely talk about kind of from a sort of female freediving perspective, how do you view the difference between sort of what you're pushing for, what you're striving for, what success looks like, potentially differently to how maybe some of your male counterparts might view it?
Well, it's hard to divide it in like male and female. We definitely have differences. But first of all, I would like to ask if everyone is familiar with what freediving actually is. Like, did you hear about it before? So it's basically holding your breath and diving deep underwater. And we also have the pool disciplines when we hold in our breath and cover as many laps in the pool as possible. So, and yeah, there is another, the most boring discipline when we just lie down on the surface and hold our breath for as long as we can.
I mean, you say that's boring.
Yeah, like it's just long.
Long.
Yeah, like my personal best is 7 minutes 23 seconds, and then you need kind of find a way.
7 minutes. Like this is holding your breath for 7. Like I'm still not over this. This is a record that was broken 2 weeks ago.
No, like the official one is like 7 minutes and 2 seconds, but yeah, like competition is slightly different experience. So yeah, as you said, the sport is booming in some areas, and actually we are in one of the most developed countries in terms of apnea or freediving. And here is, like in France, we have amazing traditions, amazing role models, and most of them are male somehow. But we see that the sport becomes more available for women, and there is like, it's not equal yet, like the numbers of the athletes, but we are getting there. And even the achievements, like many women are much stronger than like average like male athletes. So this is a sport when we kind of can think about that the differences in our physiology, in our approach, can be actually an advantage. And it's very individual. Like you can cover the same depth in slightly different ways. And some people take it like as an athletic approach, like push, go for it, look for numbers. But there is another way of doing that, and like adding some philosophy into it, and like self-growth, and taking it as an opportunity to understand yourself better, and to find a way to achieve through letting go. And this is basically something that is hard to experience in other kind of sports and areas. Because in freediving, the main like limit is one breath hold. So we have just one breath in, and then we have to do this amazing journey down. And we are basically looking for the ways to do it as efficient as possible. So you can do it fast with a high speed, but you will waste a lot of energy on the way, and you will be limited to that. Or you can you can dive to the same depth, but slightly slower, more relaxed, in more energy-saving way, and you might come back even more fresh to the surface than if you would push it. So yes, and we can translate that into life and into in general how you approach and how we communicate about the sport. And for many people who discover it, especially as like a recreation thing, because it's open for everyone here in this audience. You can try and hold your breath and go explore the underwater world. And for many people, it's about relaxation. It's about the harmony with the outside world, underwater world. It's about curiosity and exploration. And yeah, but many people can find this part of like following your ego, like when you want to prove something, when you want to chase some numbers, and sometimes it can lead to some like dangerous experiences. So it's always about like finding this. And yeah, let's say if we would say about female and male approach, yeah, like men tend to be more risky and maybe progress a bit faster. But yeah, like many women can do that too, and many men can take some safer way of approaching things. And I think it's a very good skill in this, like in the world is changing, yeah. Also in your area, to have some other kind of skills, like soft skills of taking things easy, taking time, allowing things to happen, not to force, create space for achievements. And yeah, so
Amazing.
I hope I answered.
Oh, you absolutely did. I think also taking our time is something that's getting less and less easy for us to do in our industry, but it's a really good reminder that that's what we should be doing. In terms of kind of role models and people that we all might look up to, I think that a sign of a really amazing role model is someone who has got a really strong set of values or something that they stand for that people can kind of look up to. That's the thing that they might seek them out for. And something that you've talked to me a lot about, which has really stuck with me and resonated with me, is about connection and kind of the importance in freediving of connection, whether that is connection to the self and the body, whether it's connection to the outside world to understand what's happening as you go down, down, down into sometimes very dark water by the time you get down to the bottom, right? What's your kind of, maybe you could talk a little bit about your kind of belief system around connection and why that's so important to you?
Well, like I'm doing sports for 26 years already, and it was different ways I was doing it. Of course, I was growing in this system, and of course, in the beginning, you need to learn the skill, and it can be pretty hard. It can be like, it's hard to find harmony in the first training, right? Because everything is new and your nervous system needs to adapt to many things. And it's important to take your time to dedicate, like to divide it into the parts and to work on those. But once you get the skill, you can play. And to allow yourself to play, to let this thing happen, you also need to understand where are you doing this, like your environment, because it also affects the way everything happens, the outcome and the process. So it became a big part of my routine, let's say, before the dives, before the training, to understand what's going on outside of me, how I feel today. Because it all can affect the outcome, so I don't stress about it if it's slightly off. And also, why I love freediving so much, it creates this system where you go and learn and explore yourself. We all have these hacks, like for effectiveness, how to feel yourself better, how to sleep better, what to eat. And here, holding your breath in the water, literally like going into survival mode, which is in control and like pretty safe if you follow the rules. And this is the best like playground to test it, if it works or not. So yeah, it's important to synchronize with the environment, and it can bring the synergy into the outcome. It's not just about you, playing in the world, but it's also about the world which you influence.
Amazing. Another kind of taking something from the title of this talk, which is all about resilience and kind of female role models who are maybe looking slightly different than the ones certainly that were lauded when I was younger. It was kind of pop stars and it was, you know, people from the entertainment industry. And I think we're seeing such a rise of female athletes and female sport especially being kind of really prominent and really visible so that, you know, young girls and young boys as well can really look up to these incredible women and incredible athletes. But, you know, the thing that I can't get my head around is the idea of how physically and mentally demanding it is to go down to 88 meters. I mean, another thing that you've told me is that every 10 meters that you go down adds a whole atmosphere of pressure onto the diver's body, which Katerina says feels like a nice hug from the sea, which again is, I think, a lovely way of framing it. I would be terrified. How do you build trust in yourself and resilience in yourself so that you can achieve these feats and go to, you know, for a lot of people that would be a really dangerous, potentially risky thing to do. How do you actually cultivate that kind of trust and resilience in yourself?
Well, it's like with anything, with any skill, you need to divide it into the steps small enough for you to digest each step. Like we don't start from diving 200 meters on the first training. We start from learning how to hold our breath on the surface in the safe environment. And it's very important to create this safe environment for your nervous system and your body and your brain and yourself to adapt to it and make it your comfort zone. So we don't jump out of the comfort zone. It's not comfortable. We've been there, right? And there is much better, sustainable, and sometimes, yeah, usually it's more effective way of stretching your comfort zone enough, like to have this capacity you can handle. Sometimes I have a good day, sometimes I have a bad days. Like, of course, as an elite athlete for many years, I can handle a lot of discomfort. But for example, when the war started in my country and when I had to go back and start training there, I realized how much stress we can handle like in daily life because it became like immense. Like you literally live like on the edge. You don't know if the next moment you will be alive or not. And it's the real danger. Like we don't get a chance, thank God, we don't have a chance to experience in the normal life. And we always think about freediving and some other things as like a big threat for us, like a danger for our life, of course. But when you experience the real one, you understand that it's all only just in your mind, and it's only one decision away from not suffer from it. So it's working a lot of like your beliefs and like bringing back yourself to the reality that actually you're okay, and that actually it was your decision to come here and announce this depth and to go there, and you always have a choice to do it or not. You always have a choice how to approach it. You always have a choice and be able to make a mistake. It's okay. Like you're still gonna be good. You might feel a bit discomfortable for a while, but the life goes on. You still can enjoy life a lot. So I think it was like a turning point for me as an athlete, and because it also triggered my rapid development as a professional freediver, but also as a human being. It reminded me the importance of every moment we live in this life. We sometimes forget about the process, thinking about like the small targets we have to hit, and we forget that basically life is the process. It's not the destination. The destination, we know what is like the final point. So while we're here, we have to enjoy it, and it completely changed the way I was diving. Like I became less nervous before my dives, and I became less disappointed if something went wrong. I started to find some shades of joy in the most discomfortable like situations when you're like holding your breath for like 5 minutes and your body says that well like I cannot handle it, I cannot tolerate, but then you find this space inside you which is still like from which you can still analyze it more rationally, and you realize that you can do the same hard thing without suffering. Like it's just a decision. But I'm not perfect. That's not all the time I can turn it on, you know. Like and also as a female athlete, I also need to remind myself that I'm like a normal human being only for like a few, like 1 week in a month, you know. Or the rest of the time, I'm like something is happening in my body, and it affects the physiology, and it affects my reactions, my perception. So yeah, like it's always kind of trying to balance this kind of wild, instinctive like part, and like bring it into the rational, like using our frontal part of the brain, and to remind yourself that it's actually okay and it's normal, and you don't have to be perfect all the time.
What a great reminder. I think we all need to take that away for the rest of the week whenever we're traveling home. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I really want to open up to any questions that anyone might have for Kate. I'm sure there are a few out there. I'll ask one more question whilst hopefully you can kind of think of something that you might want to ask. The word legacy is a big word. Do you think about legacy? Do you think about your legacy and what you would like that to be in terms of how you would like to inspire other people?
Oh, I've got asked about this a few times, like recently, and I realized that like the last few years I was living in a bit survival mode, like juggling this like slightly changed role of being a like deep free diver. So I'm traveling a lot, trying to find my place, like my new base, and managing like like trying to manage some normal life. So it takes a lot of energy, a lot of space in my life. So, but I think what's next, and as like I don't know if you attended Oprah's talk, it really resonated. So like your legacy is every life you touch, every person you kind of influence, and it can be a very small one. You think it's not important maybe for you, but for somebody it can be an insight that might change their direction in a slightly better way. Like
it was amazing.
for
That
them.
was amazing, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I'm conscious of time. We've got 2 minutes, and I really want to open it up. I think there's a question over there.
Okay.
Hi, thanks a lot for sharing your experience with us today. My question is, what do you think is what makes the difference between being an athlete, like an elite athlete, and also being a female role model, and how other women in sports could apply this knowledge and this experience? Thank you.
Oh, I think there is no difference. I mean, and you don't have to be an elite athlete to be a role model. Like for me, the role model could be like after Olympics. I was at the Olympics. I went to visit our coach who helped us with the choreography. She was a Spanish, and I visited her like not far from Barcelona, and she was surrounded by her friends, and they were like women in their like 40s, 50s, and they looked so free. Like they didn't give a shit about anything. And it was so inspiring. They were role models for me back then. And I think I still carry that image that like a part of me wants to be like that. You know, like be the authentic version of yourself. I don't know. I don't remember who are them. I don't remember their names. But they like had their energy and they just were themselves. So like you don't have to be anything special and you cannot overthink it and create this. Yeah, I think the biggest role models are just living their own life. They understand what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and this is creating the biggest, kind of influence outside you.
Great,
Right.
so we can all be role models. I think we're out of time, but we are going to stick around. So I know there's another question there. Maybe come and chat to us afterwards, and I'm sure, Kate, you'd be okay for answering a couple more questions. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and it's been such a pleasure sitting with you all, and enjoy the rest of your Cannes experience.
Thank you.